It is lunch hour. Welcome back into Three-Man Front on this Monday. It's Reaction Monday. 1-800-239-WJOX. A lot of basketball talk. Alabama's big win against Tennessee, 71-69. Alabama's now knocking on the door of the potential of a 3 seed in the upcoming NCAA basketball tournament. Meanwhile, Auburn, they had good news after Saturday night's embarrassing loss to Ole Miss. Joe Lunardi was one of very few that said, no, calm down, folks. Auburn's still in the NCAA basketball tournament as of this moment. Well, he has gone the weekend. He has seen Purdue lose to Ohio State yesterday. So now Ohio State has basically switched positions with the Auburn Tigers. Auburn is currently out of the NCAA tournament, according to Joe Lunardi. Our own bracketologist, Rocco Miller, who will be on this program on Wednesday, I was texting with him this morning. He has Auburn out of the NCAA tournament. So we'll see what happens as the Auburn Tigers takes on LSU coming up on Tuesday night. It's a very weird SEC schedule. If you have not looked ahead to see what this week looks like, the SEC has 14 teams in action tomorrow night. 14. One game on Wednesday night. Texas at Arkansas. Games get started tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central. Tennessee at South Carolina. Matter of fact, Bama in Athens taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. That's a 5:30 tip-off. And then the last game of the night is LSU at Auburn, which is at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock tip.
Oh.
That's what happens. You get the two worst teams in the league playing one another.
Yep, 9 o'clock tip-off. And you can hear that game right here on Jocks. So
Probably roll right into me and Damien on Morning Jocks.
That is just a very interesting schedule, how that works out, how there's 7 games tomorrow night and only one on Wednesday. Very odd.
A 9 o'clock tip on a Tuesday that's disgusting. That's brutal.
And of course, Bama is 5:30 Central, which is 6:30 over in Athens. So that's really not too bad. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, I don't understand why the SEC network, I think I've told you this before, back when we were putting the Paul Feinbaum show together and we were going to be on the SEC network, it was our understanding that almost every day our show would be off. Now, we'd still be on the radio, but the TV version would always be off at 5 o'clock Central because these, especially in basketball season, those games were going to be moved up for television. And, of course, that has not been the case, but it is
some of these conference tournaments – we're getting day basketball. I think I saw on Wednesday is the first typical tournament format that we would get some of those mid-major leagues where they're already in early tournament action and
Pat will
get
be
some
locked
of those
in.
day games.
This is Pat's time to shine.
No doubt. UAB, meanwhile, they lose yesterday, 62-58.
Going back to Auburn, though, in that late tip, it will be interesting to see what the attendance is inside of Neville, because that's been a really tough ticket over the past however many years. It's always been a tough ticket, even tougher ticket. But how many of those fans have now checked out?
Well, the new favorite thing for the broadcast team there in Neville Arena is to show all the people leaving, just like they did the other night. Mass exodus. 5-6 minutes left to go in the game. So
even if people have paid for their tickets, there's only so much some of those diehards are going to be able to go and tolerate. And then you give them a 9 o'clock tip against a bad LSU team, and the way that Auburn's been playing on a Tuesday night, I could find other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I could eat that cash.
Yeah. Just like folks at the Noble Center there in Norman, Oklahoma last week, when it was a late game and they announced 5,000 and there was no more than a couple thousand maybe in the game against Auburn.
Yeah, but they had live poetry on campus that night, Pat.
Yeah, they had a lot of other activities.
A lot of club activities, I'm sure.
Yep. They had a School of Engineering talent show.
That's right.
That was a real thing. So I don't know what Auburn.
That would
has
actually
on
be
tap
very interesting
on Tuesday night.
I think you'd see some really cool stuff that never makes it to market.
Does the equestrian team have like an open practice that people can go to on Tuesday night as opposed to watching Auburn basketball?
I don't know.
That would be fun.
That would be soothing.
They should if they
nice,
don't.
cool night.
Auburn's got a really good fishing team. Maybe fishing team's got an exhibition or something that folks can go watch instead of the basketball
Yeah,
team.
it's warm enough now. Yeah.
Fishing, it seems like that would be tough as a spectator, only if you could get the participants, the anglers, to come to the point where you're actually fishing or you're actually watching.
Just get in your boat and go with them. Follow them.
I think they love that.
Yes. You wouldn't mess up
They
the
love
fishing
when you
at
do
all.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
Hey,
of
we're
Auburn,
right here. Y'all caught anything?
So speaking of Auburn, Chad Baker-Mazara was in the news this weekend. He's no longer a member of Eric Musselman's Southern California Trojans.
Shocking.
The 26-year-old Mazara started 22 games, averaged 18.5 points per game. Pretty good.
Yeah.
18
he
and
was
a
their
half
best
points.
player this year. Yeah, he's good.
He played in Saturday's loss to Nebraska. He scored 14 points, 19 minutes of action, but refused to return after a hard foul because Nebraska was picking on him. So he left, and then he decides to come back onto the floor. But he reportedly told Eric Musselman he couldn't go back in, and so he sat with injured USC star Rodney Rice in a section designated for fans and not at the end of the bench. Baker-Mazara was also noticeably absent from a 101-65 home loss to Illinois 2 weeks ago, not even sitting with the team bench while he was nursing a supposed knee strain. So Eric Musselman decided enough is enough. Thank you, but we have seen enough.
I'm being genuine in saying this. Just my perception of watching Chad Baker-Mazara for the last 3 seasons, because I didn't know Chad Baker-Mazara before he came to Auburn. I really hope that everything's okay with him post-basketball.
How many times do you think him and Musselman just screamed at each other? At least 5 or 6. I just feel like that, just knowing the kind of coach he is and the kind of player he is and that personality.
And they've got a better idea of maybe background or some things that have happened that he's had to deal with throughout his first 26 years of life. But there's something going on. I hope that whatever it is,
mentally that he is. Okay.
I'm stopping short of saying getting help, but I hope he's able to get it figured out.
The thing that was weird to me about that is, I don't know if you saw where somebody asked Musselman about it after the game and why he wasn't sitting with the rest of the team. And Musselman said, oh, well, we didn't have enough chairs left on the bench. How do you not have enough chairs for everybody on your team to sit on the bench? Like, that was a whole weird situation, too, with him sitting where he was and, oh, well, we didn't have room for him. I don't know. Maybe that was a sign they took his chair away and that was their way of saying you're done. But I just thought that was bizarre. It's like
the roster on the website had been updated as of this morning. And he was not on.
He's not on there?
The only thing that I could think of with the chair situation is because a lot of these schools now, they sell all these high dollar, seats, like NBA games.
Yeah.
There's 6 or 7 seats.
Courtside, yeah.
And so maybe USC has taken a page out of the Lakers or Clippers and they've put all their high donors. And then maybe they just, honestly, if you're injured, they just don't have enough seats over there. You might have to sit in the.
That's insanity, but.
Yeah. I just think back to when Chad Baker-Mazara got ejected in the Yale game. Less than 4 minutes into the game, he got ejected. And then he got ejected in the Alabama game for throwing an elbow, I think. I was trying to think of all the other times he was
a loose cannon. He could be so big in stretches. And he was. But the flip side was, you get that.
Yeah, very good offensive player.
And no telling.
Crazy.
What Musselman and Bruce Pearl, what you have to tolerate, put up with, deal with a guy like that on your roster. Because and you see it. You see the potential. And
he's been your best player all year, and you said, well, I'm done.
He is an interesting case study, but he is not one that Musselman will have to worry about any longer.
So it is interesting. And the AP and the coaches poll has absolutely nothing to do with the NCAA tournament whatsoever. It's just like college football playoff. We talk about.
We like to vote.
Yeah, we talk about the coaches poll. We talk about the AP poll during the college football season. We're going to tell you now that Alabama jumped up a couple spots in the Associated Press poll. They're now number 16. Miami of Ohio is now number 19. So they're a top 20 team.
Oh, but if they lose one game.
Yeah, we're kicking them out. St. Louis Billikens are now a top 25 team. They come in at number 25. The Gales of St. Mary's.
Big win over Gonzaga.
Yep, they're at number 21 now. So
look at Miami too. Remember, was it last year or 2 years ago when it was fade Miami every game because they were horrible.
They disappeared after they had beaten Auburn the year before. Remember in the NCAA
the year
tournament?
before that, it was Georgetown, and it was money line games because they were so astronomically high, picking Georgetown to finally win a conference game.
Tennessee only dropped, I think, 1 after losing to Alabama at home. They're at 23.
Yeah, and Alabama only moved up 1.
Mm-hmm. I think they moved up 2 in the coaches poll.
Hey, Florida in the top 5 of the AP poll now, though.
Mm-hmm.
How's Green Bay doing? Have we chucked in Doug Gottlieb?
Just wait for the conference tournament. That'll be a lot of fun.
That might be. I was thinking that could be one of my dark horse picks to win whatever conference they play in.
Yeah. Bama did move up 2 in the coaches poll. It's the highest they have been in the coaches poll since January. So
we'll put it on a banner.
Mm-hmm.
205-834-9450. A lot of text rolling in. They got started early with the Chad Baker-Mazara news.
Cheddar bacon lasagna.
Yeah. Well, Posey says 86, the cheddar bacon lasagna. Johnny asking if we saw that he was no longer on the roster. Fat Joe says, can you imagine if Baker-Mazara was in that locker room and on that team? Talking about Auburn.
Oh, no. That would be bad. Oh, we were talking about things that could be going on tomorrow to keep people away from the basketball game. Got a baseball game tomorrow against Samford. It's a good product.
It is a good product.
I think a lot of people go support that.
Yes.
Especially 70-degree weather. Going to be nice.
Oh, yeah. Love college baseball. Just reading them. Clearly, none of those guys respect Stephen Pearl. He was a Nepo hire. He's not a good coach. Kenny from Bessemer. If Florida runs the table, wins the SEC tournament, could Auburn be the reason they do not receive a 1 seed? No. Would have a bad loss on the resume. It's the teams that are above Florida that have been above Florida since the beginning of the season, holding them off that one line. But a good question. Jamie Bailey says Bruce Pearl is full of soft serve chocolate ice cream emoji.
Hey, here's an idea. Remember the quote I was telling you about the Miami of Ohio AD?
Yeah.
Slamming Bruce Pearl?
Uh-huh.
If I was in the committee room, why don't you do this? Why don't you put Miami of Ohio, let's say they lose a game, put them and Auburn in the play-in game in Dayton.
Well, that would be a considerable advantage, playing in Dayton. Short travel. They're from Oxford.
Well, until the tournament expands next year, you're not going to have a West Coast version of the first 4. So you've got to
Can we just go ahead and put Miami of Ohio in the tournament and not play that game? That's my vote. Collins, yes, he got the news that Auburn is now one of the first 4 teams out, according to Joe Lunardi. I think was VCU, Virginia Tech, and there was another that he had listed there. You can go and find it. But Joe Lunardi has now jumped on the Rocco Miller.
Yeah, it's Auburn, San Diego State, VCU, Virginia Tech. Those are the first 4 teams out. The last 4 teams in: Santa Clara, Ohio State, New Mexico, Indiana.
Looks like this Auburn team has lots of problems, even without some of the problems. 2 main reasons: that they're not a good team, can't guard the 3, and can't shoot the 3. Guarding the 3 has been a big issue. I'm one of the biggest Auburn fans you'll ever meet, and I even say Auburn does not deserve to be in the tournament. Brandon says, I don't think Auburn should be, but Miami of Ohio or St. Louis wouldn't beat Florida, St. John's, Kentucky, and Arkansas. I don't even know how Auburn did it.
You know, it's funny how we talk about this, like that text right there about, but when you get to the college football playoff, everyone thinks everyone should have access. What's the difference?
Well,
because when I say during the college football season that, you know, the likes of Troy and UAB and those schools don't deserve an opportunity to play with the big boys, I get ridiculed and slammed on Twitter. But meanwhile, when we get to this basketball, it's just the opposite. Well, this team's finished dead last in the Big East. Miami of Ohio shouldn't be in the tournament. What's the difference? Okay, just separate it. Just separate the Power Four leagues and be done with it, both in basketball and football. Let the other 290 teams go play something else. Have an NIT, have an NCAA tournament for all the haves and then all the have-nots that literally have no chance of winning a national championship. Let them have their own tournament. So why is it different? That's why I'm confused.
Because I guess people feel there's maybe a precedent in basketball for the Cinderella.
Okay, you tell me
we're getting further and further.
You tell
away
me
from
the
that.
last Cinderella that won the national championship.
No, yeah, I mean
Now we've had Cinderellas make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean Butler making it to the title game and losing 2 years in a row, but that was 15 years ago.
I mean, you could probably say the last real Cinderella was Villanova against Georgetown in '85.
You can make the argument UConn, that early 2010s UConn team.
Oh, with Kemba Walker.
Yeah, they were. Was that 2011?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was 7 seed.
Yeah, because they won the Big East tournament and then went and won the whole thing. Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
But even
very
then,
often.
it doesn't. It's UConn. It's different.
Cigar Cowboy says, "I make an excellent lasagna, but you challenged me to make it better." Cheddar makes every bite better.
I was about to say cheddar and bacon in a lasagna sounds incredible.
Everyone talking about Auburn being in or out. They aren't going to play but one game, first round blowout loss. Are we talking SEC tournament? Or are you playing it ahead where they actually made the NCAA tournament? Auburn in the NIT would be very interesting versus Miami of Ohio.
Well, if they don't make the tournament, that's your 1 and 2 seeds right there.
Drake says, "I love how the Florida fans were getting all over the Arkansas point guard, chanting overrated." 34-point loss. Once trailed by 37 in that game, the worst loss for John Calipari, history as a coach. And his quote was, "Stuff happens."
Very on brand.
I like how Golden and Calipari started yelling at each other during the game.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
A lot of product between those two. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, so if you sent that text, we'll try to figure it out. 205-834-9450. Yeah. You know, I would attempt it, but I don't even know where to start with this one. There's all kind of silence and long drawn outs and a lot of vowels.
You know, Eastern Birmingham got hit hard last week with pounding rain, heavy wind, and golf ball size hail, the kind of weather that can do real damage to your roof if you're a homeowner. You need to call Abide Roofing today at 205-577-7338 for a free roof inspection. I live in the epicenter of the storm, and I've seen Abide Roofing out everywhere, checking roofs and starting work immediately on homes that have been damaged in that storms that came through Birmingham last week. Even if you don't see missing shingles, that doesn't mean that you're in the clear. Hidden damage can turn into an expensive problem later on. That's why Abide Roofing is offering a free, no obligation roof inspection right now. 205-577-7338. You've got nothing to lose, just an honest assessment from a team that puts customers first every single time. And if there is damage, Abide Roofing and Insurance Claim Masters, they can help you navigate that. And the process can be troublesome at times. I was running into some difficult issues with my roof a few years ago, but Travis Lloyd and Abide Roofing, they helped me through that, and I was able to get the insurance approved, and it was all good to go. From your first call to the final inspection, Abide Roofing puts you first. So get started today, 205-577-7338, or visit abideroof.com.
And by the way, an update on Doug Gottlieb and the Phoenix of Green Bay. 17-14, third in the horizon. You've got your eye on this team potentially for a run?
I do not.
They could run their tournament. What a great story that would be.
Mm-hmm.
They got Purdue Fort Wayne coming up tomorrow. All right. Just saying. I've identified this team as one to watch. And in particular, it may steal Auburn's seed. Not really Auburn's. Somebody else's. Three-man front continues.
So Alabama football has made an official hire. We already knew that it was coming. But Georgia Tech's executive director of recruiting, Alex Mathis, he has officially been announced as Alabama. He is now going to work in the front office for the football program. I guess he will report directly to Courtney Morgan, but he was hired by Brent Key over at Georgia Tech before the 2025 season. So he was at the University of Central Florida working under Gus Malzahn for a number of years before he was hired away from UCF by Brent Key. And so now he is coming to the University of Alabama. Alex Mathis has been hired as Alabama Crimson Tide football's new front office hire.
Well, the warmer weather is right here, or maybe where you are, right around the corner. What does that mean? That means that termites, pests, things that you don't want inside of your home or maybe out in your yard. I got a great solution for you. Our friends at Stark Exterminators been telling you about Stark Exterminators for years. Over 62 years, they've been family owned. Not many folks can say that. It tells me they're doing a lot of things right. Also, Stark, they use the most effective and environmentally friendly solutions available. 100% of your satisfaction as a customer is guaranteed. So, not just termites, ants, roaches, other things. You got Asian lady beetles that are crazy. If you've seen them, they're not ladybugs, they're actually something different. Those have been problematic for some here in the spring. Get everything taken care of with our friends at Stark. Your first visit, they'll come out, they will inspect your home, your property, inside and out, do a thorough and detailed job, and decide what else you need, not only now, but maybe down the road, like they did at our house. Call 855-STARK now or visit starkexterminators.com, and always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you.
I will be curious to see if the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference will release a statement about this. But there's word coming out that Vanderbilt basketball, they recently hosted pro point guard Bryce Griggs for an official visit. The 6'2", 22-year-old initially bypassed college. He signed a pro deal with Overtime Elite before spending time overseas, and Vanderbilt is courting him for their roster.
It'd be bad for college basketball and bad for the SEC if they allowed him to play.
What's his GPA?
Now, I will tell you that Vanderbilt will not play around with that. I mean,
exactly. He's got to be a smart kid, so it's good.
Was he born within the United
academics.
States, or was he born north of the border?
I do not have his. Wait, let's see here. Hold on a second. I do not have where he is originally from. Nope, he's from Houston. Houston, Texas.
So close.
He initially bypassed college. He signed a professional deal with Overtime Elite in 2021, spent 2 seasons there. In his second season with Overtime Elite, he averaged 16.4 points, 8 assists, 5.6 rebounds per game. He declared for the NBA draft, but he went undrafted. He joined the Philadelphia 76ers for the NBA Summer League. In October of 2024, he was selected 24th overall in the NBA G League draft by the Texas Legends, but he was waived before the season started. Then he went overseas. He played in Montenegro professionally. He later joined a professional team in Mexico, averaged 11 points, 4 assists per game. And so now he is visiting Vanderbilt University to play basketball.
He's got documentation, Pat. He's fine.
I say you let him come back and play 5 games.
See how he does?
That's the going rate now.
Send him back on his way.
Okay,
A couple
great.
of conference games left.
He
Skip the tourney.
is a little bit, which according to whether this meeting that's supposed to be all the big
Go now just to see.
Other things going on now, yeah.
Talk about future of college athletics.
a little busy.
Is there a joystick?
Button. Can I see the button?
Where's the button?
And
Governor DeSantis and the Yankees president, Randy Levine, how's he say it? Levine or Levine?
Conrad.
It's your guy.
Conrad.
Levine.
Is it Levine?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the chair people of this roundtable that they're having at the White House.
Well, good.
They're in charge.
Maybe he'll get a job there and leave his duties in New York to someone else.
Disrespectful.
I'm just saying, when your star player's already coming out in the preseason and saying he's not happy with the decisions that were made, that's not a good sign.
Speaking of that, I think I like Aaron Judge a lot more when he's in a Team USA uniform.
I know
Yeah, he looked good up there on TV.
You remember saying that you liked
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce
It's like
Harper,
a respectable American.
Absolutely.
But you couldn't say that about the rest of his Philadelphia teammates.
Well, some of those guys they look like they should be in a treatment program. I'm not kidding.
Bohm was the worst.
Oh, a couple of them were a walking billboard for this is what meth does to you.
You know why Conrad doesn't like the Phillies? Because Aaron Dolan is dating the third baseman.
Oh, is that still a thing?
Oh, is that still a thing?
They're in love. What can I say?
No, I'm talking about that thing. Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
I don't make the same amount of money he does, unfortunately.
Is there anything
I'm more well kept than he is.
Is there anything that she could do that would turn you off?
Work for the Red Sox. If she was a Red Sox reporter, couldn't do that.
No, but I could see how you would.
You would not
position it in your thought
It could
process.
actually spice things up a little
where
bit.
this is how you would get at the Red Sox.
So if you were single,
That's right.
and she was available, but she worked for the Red Sox, you would not go out with her.
No, I'd still do it.
What?
I bet Faye is so jealous right now.
Erin cuts hair. She's great. Great hair cutter.
Aaron Dolan does?
I'm sure she could learn. She's smart.
Faye's your back burner.
I didn't know.
Faye's
if
your
you
back
saw
burner.
Videos.
You
or
can
something.
go and you can jet set and you can chase the Aaron Dolans of the world, but Mama's waiting for you when you come home.
That's right. Maybe in a barber's chair in Vestavia. You never know.
She's gonna keep that hair high and tight.
Did anybody ever? I know we found the person that
There's so much concern.
cut my hair. I just didn't know if y'all had anybody that. I know some people were doing some digging in Childersburg.
Haven't gotten anything back yet.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Don't know.
She's really good at going incognito. Real good at flying under the radar.
All right, we will continue on this reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX. It is 12:36 on this Reaction Monday. Welcome back into the three-man front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We'll be live at Social Taco tomorrow. It'll be BB's birthday celebration. Come on by and enjoy some great Mexican cuisine and celebrate the First Lady of Three-Man Front's Social Taco.
I mean, we need to come up with a question for BB.
That's like on par with the recent one she's given us.
I don't know if there's anything that would make BB blush.
No, and I also don't think the four of us combined could come up with one question that's as interesting as some of hers are.
No. But glad BB's going to be with us, and hopefully you can be with us as we broadcast from 10 to 2 there at Social Taco in the Square in Homewood.
Heather Dinich from ESPN, she just tweeted out a moment ago that she had a conversation with Coach Alex Golish today. And he says that Byron Brown is in the best shape of his life. He's clocking in at 235 pounds and that he is physically impressive. He said Brown has gotten better with his intermediate throws and he's more patient in the pocket. So that's coming from Heather Dinich per her conversation this morning.
Also,
with Alex Golish.
Added when asked if Auburn would beat Miami of Ohio in a neutral site game in college basketball this season, he responded, no comment. That actually didn't happen. I added that. But
He's focused on football.
yeah, I know that John Cohen, he's not feeling the heat. He just hired Alex Golish, but he really needs Alex Golish to get off to a really good start. Not talking 10, 12 games, but get him to a bowl. Because the frustration from the Auburn fans that were texting me after Saturday night in another disappointing loss, that's who it was directed at.
Good news is you got a good baseball product that gives people something to get excited about. And then, yeah, football team needs to show up.
Basketball team's got a late night tip tomorrow night. That's 9 o'clock in Auburn against LSU. It's another must win for the Auburn Tiger basketball program if they want to be even in the conversation loosely about potentially making the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, Alabama, it is a odd 5:30 tip time over in Athens, Georgia against the Bulldogs. Moments ago, Nate Oates met with the media and he says, for an immature team, this could definitely be a trap game. I hope we're showing some maturity. A little bit worried about going over. We have seen in the past difficult games over there in Athens for both Alabama and Auburn.
They're a good team. Georgia's a good team.
Yeah, and Stegman is a lot more difficult, and you give credit to what Mike White, University of Georgia, have tried to do in not only updating that arena, but building something that Georgia fans can come and cheer for. But going back to the maturity, that's why guys like Musselman put a Chad Baker-Mazara on their team. It's that leadership, that maturity, showing guys how to do it, right?
What not to do.
I think Alabama knows what's at hand. Can't see them overlooking a Georgia team. I think if Georgia was a 15-12 and had played a lot of tough games, but that was the record, no. But Alabama knows that this Georgia team is one that they're going to have to take seriously.
So after the Auburn loss the other night, the press conference lasted 2 minutes and 20-something seconds. It was very quick afterwards. But the last question that was asked during the press conference, this is the way it sounded, Stephen Pearl, after the Ole Miss loss.
Steven, second straight game that Murph doesn't play a ton and struggles when he's out there. Just kind of what do you think's kind of gone on here these last couple games, or especially tonight?
Yeah, I'm not sure. He came out gimpy, in the first half. I'm not sure what happened, so I need to talk to Clark and see exactly, why he wasn't out there late. But no one came to me and said anything about him, so I'm not really sure exactly what it was. But, Phillips plus 8 in 23 minutes, so that probably – and Murph's minus 14. So, Murph's got to be better. Murph's, 20 minutes late to film on Thursday morning. That's why he doesn't start. And, kind of carried over to his performance tonight.
So that was Stephen Pearl after the game talking about Keyshawn Murphy. Well, moments ago, Stephen Pearl met with the media, and he had this to say about Keyshawn Murphy being late for film on Thursday. He said it was the first time that he had been late all year, and that it was an honest mistake. Says Murphy hasn't had any of those issues all season. but everyone's got to be treated fairly and treated the same. So, according to Stephen Pearl, it was an honest mistake in which he was late for the film session, but I also find it interesting. If it was an honest mistake, why bring it up in the post-game press conference?
Fair
Well,
point.
just maybe limited minutes and just going into full detail about what happened. Tahad Pettiford, 2 games he was suspended. I was going back and looked. 2 games he was suspended and had to come off the bench. Not suspended from the game, but started the game off the bench. You have others, of course, Keyshawn Hall being held out of the game. Magwood, who somebody mentioned earlier in this season. But where is your leadership on this team? Who are your leaders?
I think it's apparent there is
there's no
none.
leadership.
Well, and so this was because I was thinking about this earlier with Keyshawn Hall, and somebody was asking about it, and it's okay. I can understand if somebody comes into a role, and maybe you thought that somebody else was going to be that leader, and you don't have to, right? But like my question would be, who was the leader on that UCF team last year? Because he was the Big 12's leading scorer across the entire conference. So I would find it hard to imagine that he wasn't viewed as somewhat of a team leader at UCF. Maybe he wasn't. But it's just kind of odd to me that he seems very resistant to that kind of a role. And I'm like, was he not used to that last year? Did people not look to him for leadership last year at UCF? Maybe not, but it's just kind of bizarre. It seems like, I don't want any of that. Let me score my points and leave.
That's what it feels like.
It's weird.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's weird.
All right, so Stephen Pearl also was just asked moments ago about the rash of off-the-court discipline issues that this Auburn basketball team has had. This is a direct quote from Stephen Pearl. We have a standard. If guys are going to be making the amount of money, expectations and standards are going to be held. That's how we're going to run our program, end of quote.
Good for you.
Don't have a problem with that.
Nope. Get guys that you don't have to enforce that penalty on. Now it's speed dating. Again, maybe why Stephen Pearl wants a general manager. It's going to have to look a lot different than it did this year. I think that's the frustrating thing for Auburn fans is you've seen the good Auburn much of that first half of the season, even if we count the early SEC regular season with a win over Florida. And other games that, quite frankly, you were very competitive in. But watching it now, there's no fight in that team.
I mean, they basically did to Arkansas early in the season what Florida just did to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat them by 20 plus. That's really impressive. But that's all gone away in the last 2 months.
Feels like the Vanderbilt game at home. That's where this latest slip really started. You're at home. You were never really in that ball game. I mean, you're close at times, but if you watch that game, Vanderbilt, they had that game. And then probably even more disappointing. But you get the Kentucky game. And shame on you, Mark Pope. I know he was saying the officials, but shame on you.
Oh, for losing that game?
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just, I'm just imagining being in Stephen Pearl's shoes. You're in a locker room with your team. We've got to beat Ole Miss and LSU at home, and we're good. We're good. Just win those 2 games. And the players in the room hearing that message don't respond to that.
But watching the Auburn-Florida game and seeing the distribution, and Keyshawn Hall was really big in that game, but watching how they started playing together and looking like a team playing back. And then it went back at some point, and I'm trying to remember, to ISO basketball. I'm going to get mine. Forget about my teammates. And no defense on top of that.
Can't coach effort.
Mm-mm.
Got to have it.
We will continue on this Reaction Monday. Hope to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX. The Jocks text line is open, 205-834-9450.
12:49, three-man front on this Monday, championship week. Of course, the SEC concluding their regular season schedule. Loaded up schedule tomorrow. Alabama with a 5:30 tip against the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, Stegman Coliseum. Meanwhile, hopeless, hapless Auburn at home against LSU, a 9 o'clock tip inside of Neville Arena. UAB also in action, concluding their regular season in the American. Unfortunately, the Blazers following suit, what they've done for much of this season, and that is lose at home. They're really good on the road, and good news, if you're into trends, they will take on Charlotte on the road.
And they control their fate for the double bye. You win on the road on Wednesday, and you're going to be in good shape for the American Conference tournament coming up. And if not, but they're playing on the road, so they'll be fine.
Coach Acuff, the Sanford Bulldogs, a big win over the weekend. That secures the third seed in the SoCon tournament coming up in Asheville. They're going to play Saturday against the nemesis from the state of South Carolina, that being Furman. Sanford as a 3 seed, Furman as a 6 seed. Furman knocking them off in 2 closely contested contests during the regular season. So championship week is here. A lot of your phone calls, a lot of your reaction. I get all kinds of reactions from folks who have tried Mandu. Mandu, not only in downtown Homewood, got a location there in Huntsville, also the newest location there in Tuscaloosa. If you're familiar with Tuscaloosa, De Palma's Italian restaurant, that's where it is, right next door. But Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. That means it's all FDA approved. If you're like me, Damian Mitchell from here at Jocks, trying it, they put you into a suit, and because of all of that technology, it's a 15-minute workout. When they put you through that, 15 minutes, the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. Mandu, your first visit is free. Check them out, MANDUU.com. Always tell them Landrum from Jocks sent you.
So footballscoop.com, they had a sit-down interview with Trent Dilfer, former head football coach of the UAB Blazers. And after talking for a bit on how fast NIL took over college football just weeks after he took over the helm of the UAB job, Dilfer notes how they played a bunch of freshmen early on with the plan to develop them and be good in the long term. But once those guys produced, they were gone to Power 4 programs, offering them NIL money UAB simply couldn't compete with. This is a direct quote from Dilfer. It was one right after the other. So then it became, how are we going to replace them? You can't just go replace them with high school kids because you're going to get punished again for what you do well. So let's go to the portal. Then came his comments that have drawn significant online criticism over the weekend. This is from Trent Dilfer. If I had to do it all over again, I would have just stuck with high school, had 1 or 2 year players, lost them, but we would have been a 500 football team. Because when you go to the portal for leftovers, that is what you get. They're good kids. They're looking for opportunities, but there's a reason why it didn't work out at their last school if they're coming to UAB. There is usually a competitive piece to it. It's not a traits thing.
I would maybe push back on just the way that it's phrased. It makes it come off like, well, we didn't know we were getting ourselves into with NIL at UAB, and so we played all these. That had already been going on for a couple years. Like, if he didn't know that's what was going to happen, that's on him for not understanding the game of college football and the climate that he was in. That had not just started when he got to UAB. I'm sorry. That's not an excuse.
He also goes on to say, we had some tradey kids. In fact, we'd go to Tulane and John Summerall would say, hey, you got a good-looking team. And I'd say, yeah, well, wait until this thing gets hard and see how they respond. That is where the personal fouls and the lack of discipline and the missed assignments and drop balls and bad reads would pop up, because from a competitive temperament standpoint, there's a reason it didn't work out at Maryland or Georgia Tech or wherever we're getting them from, because it gets hard and a really good player rises. Our players shrunk. And that was the thin in the 3 years of just watching, unfortunately, because I love those kids and I got really good relationships with them, but just watching them shrink and remember when I was a player, what that felt like, and it was fighting through it and becoming a riser instead of a shrinker as a player. So he's calling his former players at UAB as shrinkers.
Yeah, it's not a good look. I think that there's a multitude of reasons that it didn't work at UAB. but I don't think it was just one. I do find it interesting with that roster what Alex Mortensen was able to do, not only in games that they lost, but beating a Memphis team, a ranked Memphis team at home, beating a Tulsa team for the first road win since the 2022 season. I'm very interested to see because I think he's going to do a great job what Alex does with his staff and the roster of players that they have. And it won't be easy.
Well, I also thought it was interesting that he's, essentially calling out the players for shrinking in the moment, whatever.
But it's really hard. Sorry, Conrad, but I just thought of this. It's really hard to justify that with some of the teams that had a lot less to work with.
Fair.
And some of those results.
He also acknowledges that if he could do it again, he would have just stayed in high school. So is that not him shrinking in the situation? He didn't want to take on that challenge in hindsight?
I think he's going to continue to do very good at the high school level.
No, I think
I love Trent as a person, and I respect him.
No, I think he was saying he would have stayed in the high school recruiting
realm,
not going.
Oh,
portal.
Okay, got you.
He said, but when you have a team of shrinkers, you've got no chance. We'll see how well he converts back to the high school game.
Indeed.